And welcome to another instance of the Michael Pulowski experiment. This time we have the Michael Pappas experiment joining. Actually, I'm glad to have you on, man. It's been a long time coming. We've known each other for quite a while. Uh, Quick shout out to anyone who does want to be on. Hit me up on Twitter at Mike Pause or anywhere else you can find me. In person's fine too. I actually ran into Mike recently. How would you best describe me knowing you? Um, Wrestling partner, bar I frequented. Like, there's a few connections. What would you say?
Wrestling partner.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We beat the hell out of each other for a few years in high school.
dude. Without a doubt, I remember quite a few times wanting to quit wrestling because you were my partner.
Because I was your partner. Oh
Yeah.
man, we brought. I like to think we brought the best out of each other.
And we did, which is why I love the fact that you were my wrestling partner
Dude,
because I was allowed to quit and I had to deal with it.
same goes, man. Honestly, I had a lot of times where, like, probably on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm like, God, I can't believe he keeps getting back up. You know? Did you watch the? I don't think I ever asked you about this. Did you watch the Last Dance?
No.
The whole, about the Bulls their championship run. Well, they like
Mhm.
they went over like Scottie Pippen getting drafted by the Bulls, and like on the first day of practice, Scottie Pippen rolls in, and Michael was a year or two older than Scottie, and he's like, "I'm gonna be better than Michael Jordan." Everyone's like, "Good luck," and like that's what happened. Scottie Pippen like came in, he's like, "I'm gonna try to beat Michael Jordan," and it was like their competitive edge that like Scottie Pippen's like, "I wouldn't have been better without Michael Jordan." Same thing. So I'm just comparing us to Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan. No big deal.
Yeah, whatever. It's cool.
But they did. The moral of the story is they like owed it to each other. I do. I mean, I don't know. If you weren't there and willing to practice with me, who the fuck else would I have practiced with in Kirtland?
There was no one. We were the two tiniest kids.
That's
So
it. But it was a good time. Wrestling is good. Kids, parents, send your kids to wrestle. It'll make them tougher. It'll make them cry less as adults. Is that a good way to put it?
without, that's the best way to put it. You will not care about anything, any physical torment or any physical discomfort you could experience. You will not care about anymore. Without a doubt.
It becomes more bearable.
Yes.
It becomes
Like
more
example,
bearable.
I live in Phoenix now, right?
Hmm.
So we have 120-degree heat. Last year, I decided to try to work for a solar company. I hate that solar company now, but when I
Oh, I
was
remember
walking,
that.
we were door knocking,
Yeah.
and we were door knocking in 115-degree heat. Like, I don't know anyone would do that. Anyone in their right mind would not do that. But if you wrestle, you're not quite in your right mind anyway.
No,
So,
you're not. Well, because our wrestling rooms got probably close to that temperature at some points,
oh,
and
without a doubt,
and we're working out at that temperature too, with high humidity. So
yeah,
yeah.
that makes you tough for just about anything.
Well, at the end of the day, man, it's like whatever you're dealing with in front of you as an adult, you're like, well, I dealt with worse. Could be
Yeah.
worse right now.
Hmm.
Well, let's digress off wrestling, man. How's Arizona treating you? Because I've been getting people from all over the place. What's Arizona been like for you lately?
Arizona's been sweet.
Yeah.
If we want to dive into like just everything that's changed this year,
Yeah, whatever comes to mind, man.
yeah, Arizona's really cool.
Because I mean, just to go over real quick to anyone who doesn't know, we were wrestling partners because we went to high school together. You're from the Ohio area, and you moved out to Arizona. Just to be clear.
Yeah, and so moved out to Arizona 2 years ago. It was a big adjustment because it's way different than Ohio out here. You know, this is a desert,
Yeah,
but the city itself is really like the downtown area is a lot more similar to Cleveland than you would think. There's like little pockets of areas
yeah,
that are kind of life areas, but then the rest is pretty desolate. It's just like some buildings and there's no one walking around.
yeah.
So it feels a lot like Cleveland, even though it's a much bigger market.
Oh yeah.
Uh, the suburbs are real cool out here. There's a lot of opportunity. I sell real estate, so I love it. I love, without a doubt, it's a much better place to work for me. So,
You got anything? You got anything you want to plug right now? You mentioned real estate. You want to do a little shout out?
I mean, hey, if you're looking to get your license, I'll help you find a good brokerage. I do that for you.
There you go. Hit up Michael Pappas. I will put any links in the description if he sends them my way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad you're liking Arizona, man. That's good. And you mentioned to me that being on the southern border there, you picked up a little Spanish, and how's that been culturally? Maybe not just the Mexican, but like how's the cultural difference been for you out in Arizona compared to Ohio at least?
It's funny because like the actual culture out here is very Hispanic influence without a doubt. Like most of our stores most stores are like basically Hispanic stores. The Hispanic food is amazing because you have some of the best people making it out here. Without a doubt, I love
they're making it for their own communities. So like if you have Mexicans making Mexican food for Mexicans, it better be freaking good. Because it's one thing to have like Americans making Mexican food for Americans, but that's got to be good.
Oh yeah, like going out and getting tacos and getting real tacos or getting like chilaquiles.
Have you tried birrias yet? That's what the place I'm working now. That's kind of their shtick, and it's from I know in southern Texas and southern California it's popular. It's called birrias, Birria.
No, I've never heard of that.
Oh, you'll have to check it out. That's more of a quick plug. Shout out Ola Tacos, just opened Willoughby where Brim was. But that's what we're doing in Ohio. But our owner, he like went to Mexico, and he's like that's like the new trend of Mexican cuisine within the Mexican circle. And it's like a soft taco with like cheese and braised beef in it, and then like in the broth of that braised beef you put that on the grill, and then you cook it, and then like the kind of the grease and the flavoring, it fries it like crisps it up, but it's not like deep fried. And so you get like a crispy soft taco that's just cheese and beef and It was my dinner last night. It was delicious.
That sounds good.
So I was curious if you guys had it out there.
I haven't seen it out here. I'm sure it is.
It's probably around. Yeah, it's probably around.
Yeah. I'll ask some of my Hispanic coworkers. Oh, Jesus. Of course, we got a dog walking. We're outside. Sorry.
Hey, dude, you got your sentry. You got your sentry.
Come here. Hey, come on. Hey, no barking.
Copper. She's Copper, right?
Yeah.
Well, she just wanted to say hello on the episode. It's all good.
She did. What's up? She's like, hi, hello.
Hello.
I'm here.
That's it. Hey, there's a dog out there. You guys know, right?
Yeah. Hey.
But
come on. All right, here we go.
It's all good. It's all good, man. But yeah, so we were talking last time I saw you in person. We were talking about lockdown a little bit. Well, I can't remember because I remember that was the whole point of us saying we want to do this episode because we're getting like knee deep in the conversation. I'm like, first off, dude, I'm about to go to bed. Second off, this will make great conversation topics. So, without me leading in a particular direction, what was like the last thing maybe you remember wanting to get out there, and we'll just roll from there. Was there something that stuck out at you?
I don't remember that exact point of the conversation.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either.
I know, just with the lockdown stuff in like Arizona and how we've experienced.
That's a good way to start. Yeah.
When Ohio was shutting down, we were and was like being very strict on their rules.
Yeah.
And it sounded just like everyone in Ohio at the time was taking it really seriously. In Arizona, we were like, yeah, whatever, we don't care.
Oh, really?
We were given like basically like a stay-at-home
order or recommendation.
Yeah, recommendation. Like at the time, a lot of our friends and stuff, we started doing Zoom calls. But then within a few months, we really loosened up. Like we had a bigger spike in the summer.
Yeah.
Because we were all now going inside. And so it's very obvious that when you're inside with people, you will be closer to them and you will be more likely to transmit whatever disease
within your small circles.
Yes. Yeah. So like, we're inside to get out of the heat and we're in air conditioning instead of being inside getting out of the cold and being in heat. Ohio.
It's the same
So
effect, different cause.
right, exactly. People are forced to be inside, and they're staying inside longer.
Yeah.
So, especially if there's you're touching all the same surfaces, all that stuff. But
I
even
mean,
with all that,
I think one of the things we got into is that most of the stuff is unavoidable, though. Is it's like, people like to PP the whole herd immunity concept, which I actually buy into personally. But regardless if you buy into that or not, it's like everyone's going to get exposed eventually. It's not like you're going to freaking bubble yourself up for the rest of your life. You're going to get exposed to whatever the hell COVID is. I know I have. I mean, I'm in the restaurant industry. I know you being in sales, the restaurant industry. I'm getting some feedback. I don't know if you want to turn your volume. I can hear myself on your screen. Oh, you want to turn it
better.
down? Yeah, that's better. But I was going to say, like, I'm exposing myself. I know you've been exposed too, but it's like, am I just never gonna like run into anyone personally for the rest of my life? Like, it's insane. Like, I wonder what people's game plan is because like I've already like thrown my hands up. I'm like, I know I'm exposed. I know the people I run into are also gonna be exposed, and I'm not scared. But like, do you understand where people are coming from with this kind of like, I'll just wait it out approach, or?
Well, I don't understand. I don't like. I get why they think like, hey, we can wait this out,
Yeah.
but like, I'm really curious because I wanted to look this up
Yeah.
earlier today or yesterday. Like, waiting it out doesn't. It's almost impossible. It's not like it's gonna go away forever. We're
No.
gonna have to deal with it. It's gonna be another seasonal flu type of thing.
Yeah.
It just feels that way. Like it'll come around, but like H1N1 and other things like that we've had in the past, like I don't hear anyone getting, oh, hey, like last year when the flu came around, I didn't hear anyone say, hey, I got H1N1 this past year.
Right.
Like, it does go away to some extent, just in the history of the past diseases we've had.
Well, and that's to me, that's the concept of herd immunity. It's the concept that there's a line, there's a spike initially, and yes, people are gonna die, but at some point it's gonna start tapering off, and yeah, people are still gonna be getting it, but enough people have been exposed to the point where when someone gets it, enough people have had it and moved on that it's not a big deal. That our immune systems have developed, and like that's the concept of a vaccine. But from what I've seen, we've done this like half open of the country, and it's like we're not seeing these major spikes that they've been announcing for so long. I mean, shit, it's been 7 months. It's like where is this giant spike they've been warning us about? Like I don't want a bunch of people to die, but it's like if you're gonna warn me about something, don't just keep warning me about a boogeyman that ain't there. You know.
Well, exactly. Like when I came in town, I was talking to an old regular of mine. His name's Dave Thorne. He's a cool ass dude.
Mm-hmm. I've met. We've spoken with him, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into him at the bar I used to run, and it was nice to talk to him for a minute. And he's like, "Dude, there's not a single at the time, at least, there was not a single COVID case at university hospitals. Anyone in university being treated for COVID, and maybe there was one at Metro. I don't know about the clinic. Maybe they're more at the clinic. However,
they're not
for university hospitals. One of the two biggest hospitals in Cleveland to not have a single person being treated for COVID at the time, and then still have the 6-foot distance order, the mask order, all that stuff.
Let's switch from the medical side then, because I think we both agree here, and instead of like just creating an echo chamber here.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because you mentioned the stay-at-home order or the mask order. What's your take on that? Because I got an opinion, but what do you think? Do you think it really has to do with protecting people's health, or do you think there's more to it than that? Because that's kind of where I fall in there.
Yeah. See, I don't know if there's a whole like conspiracy to say like, hey, there's all this stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem very.
I don't think it's that conspiratorial to say that this is simply like a smokescreen during an election year. Because I'm not gonna go say you could go full Alex Jones and say like they're trying to control us and bring in the next New World Order. The Chicovs are coming, 1776. You could go full in there, but no. I do think that at the very least this is definitely a smokescreen. That's contradicting. This is definitely a smokescreen in the election year.
Oh yeah,
I
it's
think
very convenient.
it's meant to fuck with our heads. It's meant to fuck with our hearts. It's meant to fuck with our relationships with each other. And from that angle, it is working. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like think about it. I mean, it almost is working like opposite in some ways. So like take
Oh
example.
yeah, good point.
They tried to cancel straight up and like the firework displays and not let everyone
Yeah,
go see fireworks for free.
they were
Fourth
gonna.
of July is one of the biggest rallying points for America to boost morale.
Yes,
To have that celebration is a big deal
of the
for
country.
America.
It's the birth. It's the birth of a country.
Yeah, and to cancel that and to try to stop that means, in my mind, that is not about health. It's about like demoralizing the country and
Yes.
breaking down the
And
morale of the country.
and do you know where
And
you said a key word there? I just want to cut you off real quick because you said a key word there. You said demoralize. And do you know whose playbook that comes directly out of?
I don't know.
The KGB in the Cold War.
Oh shit.
There's a guy.
Well,
I don't know if I ever told you about him. There's a KGB agent who ended up becoming a United States citizen, and he defected, and he pretty much there's videos of him with a chalkboard. He's like, this was our plan. This is what we did. And what he said, one of the first steps to destroying a nation is to demoralize the population.
yeah, and it's like that's exactly what's happening. Sorry, I gotta plug my phone thing in.
Oh, you're good. Do whatever you gotta do, man. I can keep the water boiling on my own show.
So you're right. There's like there's definitely people that are pulling a lot of strings to push whatever agenda it is that they want. Whether
Right.
they want Trump out, whether they want some other new world order, whatever that could be possible. I
Right.
definitely think there's some stuff in the background that's kind of moving that does seem very new world order-ish, but at the same time, that stuff's not going to happen for another like 30 years at least.
Well, this
There's a
is
lot of moving pieces.
I think you're right there, but you do have to admit, because as much as you want to gloss it over, this is the introduction of something they do want to push in the next 30 years.
What thing?
You mentioned New World Order, which is a very broad stroke concept, but to me, that's the idea of big box companies for one. No one has thrived better in this economy than the big box companies. What Amazon, Walmart, whatever. People know they're spending their money on it. I don't need to tell you. You can see where your dollar's flowing, and it's killing small businesses, which is to me the lifeblood of the American dream. That alone is an issue, but also more when it comes to freedom. It's people are getting used to having their freedom stepped on. Whether it's it's hilarious because you have these self-righteous people who are like, it's just a mask. I don't understand what the big deal is. You're right. You don't understand what the big deal is. This country was founded on freedom. It's the freedom to choose how to defend yourself, how to live your life, all these different things. And even as, and I said this way long time ago, it's the idea over compelled versus enforced. It's like you can enforce something on someone. I don't know. What would be an example? I tell you, Mike, you gotta quit smoking. I've been telling you you should quit smoking for a long time. I'm not even getting into where you're at smoking wise. But like I could literally take your cigarettes and throw them out and be like, no smoking. Is that gonna be as effective as me just gently being like, hey dude, I love you, I take care about you, you should stop smoking? You know?
Yeah, definitely number two is better.
Yeah, that's the whole idea for all this shit. Anything, and the mask is just one concept. It's just all these freedoms people are getting used to not having their own choice over anymore.
So, a couple things that you said in there. You said one was like killing small business. Without a doubt, big box stores are thriving really well because they have such a big presence. However, there have been more small businesses created.
It's true.
Than ever.
That's true.
Under President Trump and this COVID thing, and a lot of that has to do with being able to put online stores in business.
Yes.
And the thing that happens, and just the simple ways that internet and even though so it's basically like Amazon's playbook. Amazon we're able to recreate it at a smaller level because of the way the system's built. It can scale at any size.
And if you have the right model, you will scale up.
Right. So for like my friend Lena, she's got a great online store. I cannot remember the name of it right now. I think it's Mad Cool USA.
Okay.
So definitely plug it in. she's got some really cool stuff online. Go on Instagram, check it out, Man Cool USA.
Cool.
She's really good, and she says all of her stuff has been booming, and
Good.
she finally made it as an LLC and made it as a business during this COVID time. So it helped her a lot.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people. Most people now have to have a side hustle to make the money that they want. So every side hustle, imagine, say a third of the population creates a side hustle.
Oh, you might be frozen.
That are now open.
Oh, you froze up there for a second, brother. Yeah, the last thing I had heard was side hustle, and it went side hustle.
Oh no.
So I'm sorry. Yeah. You said if a third of the population has a side hustle or something like that.
Yeah, that's what 100 million small businesses. Now that's a big number, but like say even 10 million small businesses get created. That's a ton. That's a lot of small businesses all being run online.
Well, maybe a better way to think of it is it's like a forest fire in the small business sector, because I gotta say, from the right wing end, there's a lot of people like, oh, I can't believe all these are dying, but it's like a lot of them might have needed to die. Like some of them might have been on a death spiral to begin with, and it almost might be like a mercy kill to put some of them out of their, mercy. Because I do, like, as much as it sucks that there are people and, it's their livelihood and everything, it's like, but sometimes you need to, like, if you're a dying tree, you need to get burned down, and then you will be someone else will take the reins. That's the concept of this country being a free market economy, whether it is or not, with the crony capitalism side of things. I'm just going to arguments people are going to have, but it is creating an opportunity for new businesses, like you said.
Well, without a doubt, like you made a really good point. Like burn down a dying tree and let the new forest grow in. So there is, without a doubt, that's happening 2 levels right now. That's happening real world right now. All the old forests and whatnot that have been in California, they're all going to.
Yeah, man, you're
like there's going to be new growth out of it after, which is fantastic. That's exactly what needs to do for a healthy Earth. It needs to burn down and be redone. It needs to have new growth. It needs to have new life come back into it. So I don't know where all those places are at. The drought is terrible. People accidentally setting forests on fire for, a baby gender reveal party is ridiculous.
Well,
however,
there's also been arsonists too. They've been declaring themselves arsonists. They've been live streaming their arson. It's fucking ridiculous. This is the beauty of the modern era we live in. And I posted this on Facebook the other day, and I actually deleted it because I didn't want to keep it up. But Facebook is kind of my whipping boy right now for ideas. It's like I'll post something, and like if it gets shit on, I'm like, whatever, it's Facebook. But stupid people should be able to say stupid things. And that's kind of what we're living right now. I mean, we're having people live streaming looting. We're having people live streaming riot. We're having people live streaming all these things. And it's like, do you not realize that if there was a fascist police state, you're like literally just like, hi, it's me, crime, right here. And like, if you're truly afraid of a fascist, because this is, to me, I want to get into Antifa real quick for a second. Because most people don't understand what fascism is. In a fascist state, you have no freedom. You can't say what you want. You can't do what you want. So even just doing a peaceful protest and live streaming it, if we really lived in a fascist state, the state police would show up and maybe kill you or arrest you or do whatever. It's like, that's what fascism is. What we have is not fascism. And I can understand people may be protesting and maybe wanting to be like, let's not get to fascism. But for people to make that leap and jump and say there are fascists and we aren't a fascist, no. Read more history. That's my only quick point I wanted to make, because that's something that I hear all the time. Drives me nuts. What do you think there? Have you heard this kind of we live in a fascist state rhetoric?
Yeah, and I was just watching something about like some guy, I cannot remember his exact name right now, but he's going to college campuses, and he's talking to different colleges, and he's a more conservative person, but he started liberal a long time ago, and he's way more conservative now.
It's pretty common actually. People start liberal and make the jump or make the kind of trepidatious walk.
Yeah, I mean, well, on that note, I heard, if you're not a Democrat before 30, you don't have a heart, but if you're still a Democrat after 30, you don't have a brain.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Or you don't have any
So,
equity.
yeah.
One of you.
So I'm under 30. I'm a conservative person. Whatever. Like, I might not have a heart. I also believe some ridiculous things, so whatever. We won't get into all those right
I'm a
now.
moderate. I'm a moderate libertarian, man. I'm yin
Yeah.
yang. I'm a yin yang kind of
But
dude.
yeah. So with what were we just talking about?
We're just talking about Antifa.
Oh,
I mentioned being in a fascist, country.
so this guy was talking, and he's trying to have his speech, and these college protesters were in the back, like yelling, like, "We're not going to let you speak. We're not, we don't want to hear your message." All this stuff, and he's like, and you're like, they're calling him fascist for his, his
Ideas
views,
for his views, and they're literally enacting fascism.
right? Because he's like, did you know, like, back in, say Italy, he was Italian, so he used Benito Mussolini.
Mm-hmm.
Brown would similar to this day right now, brown shirts would come in to whoever was speaking and then intimidate the person and yell at them and say, no, you're not allowed to get your message out. You're not allowed to.
Funny thing about Benito Mussolini's brown shirts in Italy, I don't know if you knew this, a lot of people don't. Do you know who their biggest competition was in their fight for power in Italy in the 1930s?
No, I don't.
The Marxists, the communists, the future communists.
Oh, shoot. I didn't know that.
They literally look it up. I don't. Every time I have something like this, I say look it up, because the thing is, I know what I've seen, and obviously there's different sources, but check it out. But I remember I saw a History Channel documentary, or it was something where they're saying that they literally got into fistfights because they're trying to control turf. And the brown shirts would go in, they'd find where the Marxists were meeting, and they'd just go into their little rallies and just beat the fuck out of them until they're like, you still Marxist? Huh? And like the dumb ones are just, they're brutes. They're like, oh, well, nice uniforms you got on here. I like your duds. And now they're brown shirts. But they would beat the shit out of the ideologues or kill them. All the ones who read Marx, they would kill them. And then the ones who were brutes, they're like, well, now you're welcome to the brown shirts. That's why... It was gang turf war shit for a while until they finally ran the country. And I mean, I've been watching Narcos lately. I finished the Colombian one, but I'm on the Mexican one now. What blows me away is the fact that in the 80s and 90s, in the Mexican narco state, that each of the local plaza dons had their own state federales police. It was just known that they were on payroll. And what's funny is state police from one state would fight state police from another, enforcing the drug kingpin's desires. So it's like, when you look at all this shit, it's just turf war shit. Like, when people think governments are like, that's the whole concept I want to have, is like, we have like the sacred like belief that our government is like completely on our side and all this stuff. And it is. I gotta say, the United States is a lot better. But my example is like, look at just the other world within the last few decades. And it's not the case. That's all. It's just like there are truly totalitarian states out there, and you don't have to look far back in history.
No, not at all. But even looking far back in history, apparently, the history books that we learn from are so different now.
Oh my God. Well, I gotta say, there's a lot of great YouTube channels out there, and it is a lot of times it's like homeschooling parents or parents who switched their kids to homeschool, and they're like, look at what they're trying to give our kids, and they're like, thank God I'm gonna like teach my kid on my own. But when you look at, I mean, I know the one thing that got us while we were still in school was when they started teaching Common Core for math. I know that was one of the big things. But what scares me is history, because they say history's written by the victors, and when people get to pick and cherry pick what they show and don't show, that's a scary precedent. And I think that everyone is better in conversation when they know their history better. And it scares me that people don't know their history very well at all.
Well, that's true, and it's scary because
I had a conversation the other day. Within the last month, someone didn't understand that the United States fought Japan and Germany in World War II. They're like, "Oh, I thought that was two different wars." I'm like, "No,
dude, say more. Come on."
Yeah, it's just like that basic kind of shit, man.
That's a really good point, and it's crazy because like, all right, we're the same country in the last 30 years, right? I'm 27 years old. When I was, 15, 20
Happy
years
birthday,
ago, when
by
I was,
the way.
thank you. When I'm 15, 15, 20 years ago, when I'm learning the history books, the same history book, the same class, same country is
Mm-hmm.
now teaching different history,
Mm-hmm.
just based on the different whoever is the president and putting in place the people below him to decide our whole country's history.
Right.
Whatever department of education they have going on has to have made a big change to deliver such a different message,
Yeah.
and pick and choose history to tell us about.
So I guess we've kind of said that there's a discrepancy in the teaching of history, but I know that there's a few things I'm worried about. But what would be some things that you would be worried about being omitted, people not hearing about at all, ever being exposed to? Because obviously some people are just gonna let it fly over their heads and they're not gonna pay attention. But let's say you have a good student who wants to learn. What's something that you'd be worried that they're gonna miss out on intentionally that would enrich them a lot better?
Um, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
A lot of a lot of stuff that I'd be interested that they would miss out on is some important details of like the wars that happened as we were forming the country.
Of the
So
United States in particular?
yes, so like
I'd say there's a actually you went to my extreme because I personally I think that's something a lot more Americans need to know. Even well-versed Americans histories well-versed Americans in our history don't know a lot about those wars, and you mean like the Indian Wars, the Spanish American War, um,
right,
the
1812.
war, yeah, War of 1812. There's a lot of wars. People pretty much think they're like, we had the Revolutionary War, we had the Civil War, and then World War One. It's like you missed a couple. We've pretty much been fighting ever since we like got out of the Revolutionary War, whether we wanted to or not. Because after we won the Revolutionary War, quote won, people didn't stop fucking with us. That's I'm with you there.
Well, dude, I'm pretty sure Arizona was taken from Mexico in like the 1900s
Yeah.
or something like that.
No, it was
just
late 1800s, I believe.
yeah. So we became a state in 1912. We were the last contiguous state to form. But there was like the Arizona. I don't know if it was. I don't remember what territory it was called for a minute, but New Mexico and Arizona were basically Mexico at the time.
Well, Texas has a beautiful history to it, as far as being fought over with the Mexicans. But from what I understand, Arizona, you might know this better than I do. From what I understand, is there's Mexican raiders that were coming over, and eventually between the Texas Rangers, U.S. Marshals, and everything, whoever it was fighting, they pretty much were just like, all right, here's the line. If you come over it, we're fucking killing you.
Yeah, that's basically what I.
That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
We pretty much put a literal line in the sand, and we're like, don't cross it, Mexicans, or you're done. And they're like, okay, finally.
Like, we'll back off.
We'll back off. We got plenty of land down here. We're good.
For real. So it's just wild. And like, dude, when I moved here, I did not realize this was the last state to get conquered. Like, when you see like the wild stuff, like that stuff is so funny because at the same time, like, it's weird to think about the same events that are happening in the world at the same time. So like, in 1803, right, Ohio was being settled. Arizona was nowhere near that. That was still like Tombstone, Wyatt Earp,
Yep.
Doc Holliday.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you're out. Like people like, oh, the Wild Wild West. It's like Arizona was part of where all that shit was going down. It's like people. I feel like a lot of times people in their mind they're like, it's just this like weird fairy tale dimension, the Wild Wild West. But like, I've only been out that way one time. And I stayed at an inn where Doc Holliday had stayed, and it's just crazy to like say these are the concrete places, well, not concrete, but wooden places where people stayed, and you can go visit it. You can go out and reach out and touch it, and imagine people riding across a horse and killing people, and having lawmen come by and being like, "Yo, you need to chill. People trying to build stuff here,"
Yeah, Tombstone is still here today. Like people see the movie Tombstone.
Yep.
Favorites, but Tombstone is a real ghost town now. Like it's still here. No one lives in it. it's touristy. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, we went out with my dad, and he was all about checking out ghost towns. That was like what my dad's like main draw was. He's like he wants to go see ghost towns because it's crazy that like we're there now, and in retrospect, we're like this town's dead. But to think that at one point someone was like, this is their salvation. This is like we're gonna invest here. We're gonna create a community here. It didn't work out, you know. And then you look at all the towns that did work out. It's like, what was the 50-50? Was it there was too many Comanche raiders nearby? Were there bandits that kept pillaging it? It's like, what if Phoenix would have been like 100 miles to the east or something, you know? Stuff like that. I mean, that stuff blows me away. Because we've only, like you said, it's only been 100 years since it's really been developed.
Mm-hmm.
But...
Well, yeah, it's really been like 100 years. And like even in the last, like I've talked to a few people that have been in the valley for a long time.
Yeah.
There's a main road, McDowell. It's like one of the main. It's not like there's quite a few main streets. It's a big ass city, but McDowell is a really good example. If you ever go to McDowell right now, it's like a 6-lane road. Yeah. In the 80s, it was a dirt road. It had 2 lanes.
And now.
And that's not very long.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, obviously, there's been an influx of people going out that way. I hear that. Was it Phoenix in particular was one of the faster growing cities in the country. I remember one of the cities in Arizona was like top 20 at least. I'm being conservative.
Yeah, Phoenix is definitely in there. We get like 500,000 people a year right now.
That's a lot.
I just read that there's like I can't remember if it was 400 or 700 because I was talking to someone right after I read this article.
Yeah.
But it's hundreds of people a day are moving from California
to
Arizona.
Oh, yeah. California's got a mass exodus right now. It's insane. It's insane. I mean, I think the big thing is, as far as celebrities, Rogan doing the move to Texas. You know, and obviously Joe Rogan is one of my big inspirations for doing the show, but it's not worth being in LA for people anymore, you know? It's just not safe. It's not practical. It's getting crazy. So of course you're going to see some people going to Arizona too.
Right.
And I mean, have you met some California people already? The transplants or?
Yeah, I've met a lot of people here that are not from Arizona.
But like particularly from California or?
Yes, I met a few people from Cali, and they've just said they said they moved there and back a few different times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they went out there because they didn't like. Originally, they grew up in Arizona. They moved to California.
Oh, I see.
They wanted to see something different. They came back. They went back there again because they're like, "Wow, I'm bored in Arizona again." And they realized California sucks in general, so I'm just going to come back here.
Come back to Arizona, where
yeah. And a lot of it's money reasons, but like the people that I know that lived in California and moved here, it's only a couple, and they're my age, but it was their families that made the decision, and it was all based on money and jobs. They their jobs had left California and they found a better one in Arizona.
That's it. Well, that's the problem. It's the problem when you have this is probably the problem when you have too many dreamers going to one spot. Is there's only so many you only have so many dreams to fulfill for so many dreamers. You know.
Right.
And Phoenix is probably a good like second string place if your goal was originally California. You know.
Mm-hmm. The weather's amazing here. Like what I didn't understand when I first moved here, and Maggie, and like my friend Maggie, girlfriend at the time, friend now, she was telling me a lot when she moved out here. She's like, there's so many things to do. There's stuff to drive to within like 2 hours, 6 hours. That's so different than back home. So back home, if I drive 6 hours, I get to Chicago. I get somewhere in Pennsylvania, like
Southern Ohio, West Virginia.
Yeah, you have a few places to go, which is awesome from where we're at in Cleveland. But out here in Phoenix, if I drive 2 hours in Cleveland, I get to, ski-wise, I can go to Peak and Peak or Holiday Valley. Good places to ski. However, in 2 hours, I can go from Phoenix to Flagstaff, rising, 5 to 7,000 feet in elevation, depending on the mountain. And I'm getting 10 times better skiing.
Yeah.
I'm going 2 hours to go to some hiking that's up in the mountains that, while the mountains they're like aspens and like junipers and some cedars that are up there. So it's like these tall, thin trees, basically, like that are pine. It's
Yeah.
not, the deciduous trees we have, but
They
you're
take up
going
a lot
up
of
in,
space. Yeah.
yeah, it's a different forest, right? But you're still going up into the woods. It's so beautiful. Like,
Well,
dude,
I
it's
mean, I think Colorado is one of the most beautiful states we have in the union, and you got it right in your back door now. Like,
yeah,
if I were out there, I'd be trying to hit up Colorado as often as I could.
Colorado's like a 12-hour drive for me. So that's like going from,
Yeah,
Ohio to the Carolinas.
right. But that's something
Because
I'm just saying. Like, I'd be trying to hit up Colorado once a year if I could.
I've got some friends up there. They keep inviting me, and
If
they
take
haven't made it yet. I've been too broke.
I get that too. Trust me. Oh, as I'm saying that, I haven't really made an out-of-state trip since last year, so
Yeah.
is what it is.
The stuff out here is wild just because people go to Arizona and think, hey, it's a desert. But there's so much more than a desert here.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's so underrated from a lot of people. They're like, it's boring out there. It's absolutely not boring. There's
No.
way more to do here and way more life to see that
Well,
you would never get a chance to back home in the Midwest.
I think especially just having so many transplants there, you're going to get a huge mixture of cultures. Not just like we mentioned the Mexican over the border, but when you have so many like young, hopeful people, you're going to get a lot of different cultures mixing versus say like Cleveland, where it's going to be a lot of kind of the
Mm-hmm.
same cultural group. So I definitely would see that as far as having stuff to do. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so switching gears real quick, I want to talk about, we're talking in a very positive light about everything. Um, with all what's been going down lately, I see a lot of people like being perpetual negative talkers on the social media circles. What's your take on that? Because I've been working on a segment called White Pilled recently, which is about being almost perpetually optimistic in the face of maybe even bad adversity as a way of coping with things. What's your take on that? I mean, is it? I'm almost asking that as a tee up because I know you're a pretty positive guy. You try to uplift a lot of people, but have you noticed any difference in particular this year?
Uh, yeah. Well, in my specific circle and my influence that I like see with people,
Yeah.
they are pretty positive. They're not dwelling too much on all the negative stuff. However, there is a lot of people that are really negative, and we do
Right.
see them we do see them on Facebook all the time. They'll jump in on our conversations, and it's really easy to push someone out like that because we just ignore them.
Right.
But
But there's like
uh,
certain people that it's almost it's a broken record of like negativity. Is kind of
absolutely,
the point I'm making here. It's like you know what you're
yeah,
gonna get before it's even been said.
yeah. They're like the amount of people, and like let's just take the whole presidency because that's a big talking point that happens where
Sure.
people get negative. Uh, it is so quick for someone to jump in and to immediately like on a negative thought, they're already saying like you you support Trump, you must be the worst person ever. Like
Yeah.
I just saw a post the other day from my cousin's roommate where this girl was like, my knuckle dragging, mouth breathing, like stupid whatever fucking neighbors put up a Trump sign across the street. Like
Yeah.
what the man? Like what is up with
Well,
what is with your attitude right now? You don't have to be negative about that person. They may have a different viewpoint than you, and that's amazing. That's great that they have a different viewpoint than you. You should sit over. You should go and talk with them.
I
That is
s-
exactly why America's great because we can go and have that
yeah.
discussion. But it's so weird. Like I don't know many Trump people that will, or at least Trump supporters that will sit there and then be like, you're a Biden supporter. You're the fucking worst person. I
Yeah.
know some people still do that. I hear them say that, and I get that, and I don't necessarily agree with certain Democratic philosophies. However, you can't just sit there and be like in blanket statement like that they're all
Completely.
terrible. I
Well,
mean, that's
I
the
was gonna
same thing.
say, as a true moderate, when you said you mentioned the knuckle dragging comments or just anything to berate, like there's definitely this meme right now that if you're a Trump supporter, you're a bad person. Just like instantly, like it's and that it's almost like implied, and that there doesn't need to be a conversation about it. But I never hear the conversation being made.
Right.
And so here's the thing I see as someone who, and here's the thing, is it's funny for me in particular because I was actually 2016, I was very against Trump. I was this white knight. I'm like, oh, he said they grabbed him by the pussy. And I've made the complete evolution. I'm like, good. Fuck all these people trying to control speech. Fuck them all. Because I now support Trump in spite of them. And this is what I was going to say, is those knuckle-dragging comments, because I'm the kind of person, my personality, I'm a moth to a flame, you know? If I see something going on, I go to it. I'm like, so what's the deal here? What's going on? And so I forget who the person you said made that comment, but they don't have the wherewithal to their own statement to see what they're saying. It's like, if I am coming in with fresh eyes, and I do try to come into every situation I read, unless I know enough about it, with fresh set of eyes, a new perspective. I want to learn something. I want to change my view. So when I see someone say, well, you're a Trump supporter, you're a knuckle-dragging idiot, I go, well, I don't support you because you haven't made a point, and all you've done is bring someone down. And I don't think they see that. Because I think they see everything from this bipartisan duality, and they can't imagine that this moderate group of people who are maybe undecided, they are literally losing their side. And this is what I was going to say, is you could take it from two angles. One, when you hear that, it makes people Trump supporters. Or two, all it does, it's a double negative. It also takes away from people on your side. Because, like, let's say you have a more pragmatic anti-Trump person who is going to vote Biden, and they see you say that, and they're like, maybe I am on the wrong side. So everything about that statement is actually, from a strategic level, bad for your side. And that's why I wanted to get into the negativity side of things. It's like, we can have these conversations that Trump is bad, but it has to be done in the proper way.
Absolutely. Oh, this is a great point. On the other day, I was talking to a friend of mine who I met at college. He was in my fraternity. He graduated literally right before I joined the fraternity. So he graduated in fall quarter, and then I came in on winter quarter.
Okay.
So, he was still around. Barely met him that year, but saw him a few times throughout the years, and we always got along. Without a doubt, we never really had any issues. I was definitely an idiot, drunk, stupid idiot down at you, and
so nothing changed.
Stuff. He never was like, "Oh, that guy's an idiot." Maybe he thought that himself, but he never openly said it, and was very nice to me. We always got along.
Yeah.
However, and I changed my name on Facebook, so I don't know if he knew who I was when I posted on his Facebook status, whatever comment thing he had. All he posted was, do I need to put a Biden sign out in my yard, or should I just put my college degree out there to say who I'm voting for? And I'm like, wow, dude, what a fucking bold ass statement you could make there. Like, you think just because you went to a liberal college and have liberal friends, that is only how you made your decision.
Yeah, that's the only decision you can make.
Because you were influenced by liberal people to make your decisions.
Yeah.
So that made me like a little flare up on the inside, like, wow, you think just because you got a degree, it tells you you're smarter than everyone, so you want to vote Biden.
It almost eliminates all efficacy as a person, or like just essentially your decision making. It's like, well, a decision's been made for me. And to get back to what I was saying earlier about the idea of liberty, is I'm a libertarian. I think that I want to create a world where everyone has the most opportunity and choice in front of them. And for someone to say something that like fated or that destined, it's like, that's the exact opposite of what I want. I want your friend to be like, what are the options? What can I do? What is good for me? Instead, he's just like, oh, this is what I have to do.
Right. And
that's very disheartening. That's disheartening to me.
Yeah, I asked him like a really simple question, because I don't like to get into arguments on Facebook, and no matter what my viewpoints are, I like to find out what someone else's is. So, or
at least what they're thinking. I like to know people, even if I don't agree. I like to know what led you to what I disagree with, because I don't think people do that enough too. It's like, you can't put yourself in, like, let's say the person is your enemy. Don't you want to know how your enemy's thinking and what led them there?
Yeah, so
you should.
Like, I don't know exactly where he gets all of his news and all that type of stuff, so I can't really speak about it that much, but you can get a good glimpse of like where he gets his news sources and how he views everything just on his answer. His answer was, I'm like, all right, what points on Biden's platform do you like most? His first one was that he listens to science. The second one, that he was basically just not Trump.
That's been a Democrat meme that I think is fucking hilarious right now. Is, we believe in science. It's like, okay, well, science is a method, first off. So like, when you say science, like this is one thing that annoys the shit out of me, because it's like, if you say I believe in science, you're already going against the grain, because science is something that needs to be tried and tested consistently. So if you're saying I believe in the science, you're saying nope, argument's been done, and that's the point of science. It's never done.
Oh yeah, the science argument like drives me crazy because
you can't. Just to finish, no one can take the high ground on science. That's the point I'm trying to encapsulate. You can't see like, well, we're the side of science and you guys aren't. It's a disingenuous conversation tactic.
Absolutely, the science like that drives me crazy when someone wants to use science, because science works two ways. One, first off, the scientific method is not made to prove multiple points at a time. It is to test one hypothesis at a time. And then only one.
And it's supposed to be tested.
With that, you may draw up a conclusion and start another scientific experiment with a new hypothesis. That is the whole point.
And you tweak the variables.
You tweak variables, and to try to glean one or more than one assumption and to prove one thing with one science or multiple things with one scientific test is not right with science.
It's impossible.
Have to do multiple ones over how it evolves. And that's what's amazing about science, because you're able to kind of prove and disprove things at a very minute level, because you're tweaking very tiny details. And that's the best thing about science. To say, oh, it's science, and you see these graphs talking about like specifically towards the whole COVID thing.
Right.
People are talking about science, and they're like, oh, like we need this vaccine, and they're thinking that science in only one lane. Right. Science works on multiple levels. Science works in modern the way
it's not a straight line. It should be a web. It should be science needs imagination. It needs creativity, or else it's going to stagnate. If you start, the reason I mentioned the changing variables is because if you get these people in these very dogmatic circles where they start only thinking these few thoughts, and they're going to just get confirmation bias, and they're going to prove the same things. You need people to start trying different experiments, wacky. The more wacky, I think Einstein said it. He goes, intelligence is not a measure of a man. Creativity is. He's like, knowledge and intelligence is something that essentially makes you a robot. You're capable of repeating stuff. But it's the ability to think of things people have never thought of. That really is the measure of what makes a scientist great.
Absolutely. And what's incredible about science is, yes, we have people that are trying to make vaccines for something that probably won't ever get a vaccine. We don't have a vaccine for the common cold. Apparently we don't have a vaccine for AIDS still. There's certain vaccines that easily, if they can make this one within a certain amount of time, I feel like they probably could have spent more time on something that kills way more people in a year.
Seriously, that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. Yeah, well, like if we're forcing this COVID, which to me is a highly political vehicle of conversation, why the hell haven't we handled AIDS or anything else? But COVID gets the royal red carpet treatment.
Right. It's definitely like that agenda of it is definitely just to like have this whole smoke screen, like you said earlier. Yeah. However, on the other science, there's just treating, like with modern medicine, treating the disease is another part of science. So I read this article the other day, and I believe it was from like, damn it, I think it was on Yahoo News. I can't really remember. But it made a really good point, and it was talking about what we know before and what we know now. So 6 months ago, we didn't realize that COVID, helps creates clots in your body. So they were like, they thought, breathing thing, we put them on ventilators. So now they realize, hey, it's not about the ventilators. Putting someone on a ventilator is basically like a death sentence. Maybe not exactly.
It can be a death sentence, depending on their underlying conditions. Yeah.
Right, and it's not going to cure them. It's just putting a Band-Aid, a big Band-Aid on the problem.
It's a Band-Aid that could eventually kill them, like you said, too, if it's the wrong kind of Band-Aid.
Right. So what they do know, now, is like, hey, we're going to prescribe anticoagulants with the rest of the medications that we're going to give you.
Well, and just to mention real quick, that's where the hydrochloroquine came into play, because it was anti-malarial, which has everything to do with the coagulation, like you said.
And so those were all things that were totally overlooked and are still overlooked right now. Like, people don't realize that right now we know way more. And just in general, the longer we wait, or the longer it takes for you to get this disease, the more chance you have of surviving it now. And the death rates are going to drop down to nothing. I believe that America was is over testing to a degree because they're testing the same people over and over again
Oh
and
yeah.
counting them.
I've never been tested. I'll put it that way. They never tested me.
Yeah, I haven't been tested. I go into work though, and I have to take a temperature every day. I haven't had a temperature. I work with people all the time. There's people that come in, they're eating without masks on. I've never had this disease. Now I can tell you, I don't think it's the mask that has saved me. I think it's the fact that I've hands a lot.
If anything, I would say the mask. I'll say from a very basic level, I know it lowers my oxygen levels. I know I'm hustling, and I got this mask on. I'm trying to work, trying to run around, take tables, trying to talk to people. It also limits my communication ability with the people I'm talking to. But also, you got a freaking incubator for all my sneezes and bullshit and all my, like, I'm putting that right next to my face all the time. You tell me if there is a disease, it's not sitting in that mask all the time. And I try to wash it at least once a week, but I'm a busy man. I don't always get the chance. That in itself, the masks themselves are gross.
Mm-hmm.
You might be better off having just fresh air in front of you.
I have like 5 now. I wash them like in batches and like, rotate them because people have given me them and whatever, which is nice. I would never buy a mask.
I got 2 masks. I refuse to spend money on a mask. It's funny when this whole bullshit started. I was like, there was a time where I thought I will never have to wear a mask. Isn't that funny? It's like I thought this was going to blow over in like a few weeks to a month. And I told myself in my head, I'm like, I'm never going to have to wear one. I was like, okay, so now I have to wear one. But I'm not going to buy one. We're like 7 months in, and I have my 2 fucking masks. I'm like, Jesus Christ, am I about to have to buy one because it's something we're going to have to wear for the next 5 years? Like, it's insane.
Well, what's crazy is, dude, I remember...
Because now there's a market behind it. Now there's people making masks on Etsy and shit. I'm like, oh, no, I did not want to get this, like, rooted into this culture.
Dude, for real. Well, it's funny. So, like, dude, in Asia, like China, great example. Dude, they've had masks for a long time. And masks have been really popular in their
metropolitan sectors. People point to Japan a lot, but also if you look at the metropolitan statistics of Japan, they have a lot of people on top of each other, and it's a lot more necessary if there is an infection going around. Just to clarify.
Well, yeah, so they have their mask thing going on, but I remember I wish I had like the actual papers that we were looking at and the website that we were looking at back then.
Yeah.
Because I was in like my AP government class with Mr. Valente. I love him so much. He's so funny.
Yeah, just saw him last week.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah.
And I remember talking about like somehow we got on the topic of masks and things like that back then. And
really?
Yeah, we were talking about how they have such a part of it was that they because of the way their cities work, there's so many more people stacked up on top of each other.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying.
They have so much smog and pollution that they're forced to wear these masks to try to help prevent anything that they can, but at the same time the masks only work so much. They still are bad for you. They're not. Like they're helping, but they're not great.
You don't want it to become a daily thing. It's supposed to be a like air raid siren kind of thing. It's like you don't want to you don't duck and cover every time you walk out your front door. Like you just shouldn't be. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I'm imagining that we shouldn't be wearing a mask every day. Like I'm sure there's going to be some, as we said, scientific studies that are going to show that masks are not good for daily use.
Right.
And I think, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but my main point would be lower oxygen levels, because I'm sure that's gonna lead to depression. I'm sure that's gonna lead to bad decision making. You don't have enough oxygen in your brain. Like there's so many things that low oxygen levels would be bad for. And I know people are wearing stupid masks that are covering up their face too much or not enough. Have you seen people with these mesh masks? They're like, oh, I found this really convenient. I saw this post that's like, I found this really convenient mask, and it's like mesh. It's they're like, it's super comfortable, it's super breathable. I'm like, you might as well be wearing a fucking like pair of panties on your face. Like, what are you doing?
I'm surprised people haven't just started everywhere.
Well, it goes back to we've been talking about the science side of things. To me, it's all compliance. It's all control. It's all people. This is we're about to hit an hour here, but this is one of the things when we went back to the whole conspiracy side of things is I do think on one level you have people in the government and control on the elite side of things trying to sow discord. But on the backside of that, the discord that's being sown is you have people who have maybe never had control or not used to being in control, where now they can control aspects of people they don't like. Where especially with this Trump, Biden, this left-right divide, you have people on the left being sanctimoniously like, excuse me, where's your mask? Excuse me. Sir, I'm here with my mask on in complete compliance, and you are not. Like, is that not what's going on?
Yeah, it's crazy. So, like, I think the whole mask thing is, like, it does, I mean, it's really helping, fuel the fire to any headbutting between the citizens. It's not helping bring people together.
No.
It's helping push some people apart, like, still. And then, dude, the whole
I gotta say, I fan the flames. I'm hardcore anti-masker. I'm not even gonna try to play the part of diplomat here, but
yeah, I'm not for the mask, but I work where I work. I still gotta wear them in certain situations.
I wear my mask at work, yeah, but I'm not gonna wear it 1 second longer.
Right, dude. I'm taking it down constantly while I'm at work. I hate it. It drives me crazy.
It's ridiculous.
So. But like the fact that everyone has to wear these masks, it's like hiding your identity. It's like hiding who you are. It's like, to me, it's making people more alike. It's not like, even though you have your own individual masks that you can wear that are your own individual thing, it's still taking away
your face, your mouth, your nose, you're not seeing people. And what's funny is there's memes are great. First off, memes are fantastic. And I've seen people posting things like, oh, this is the perfect time for ugly people to shine, But it's like, if I see a pretty chick and she's got a mask on, I'm like, damn, I wonder what that mouth look like, Like, in a weird way, like, you lose the aesthetic. And part of it is I'm not the best looking guy, but, I got nice eyes, but like from here down, like I like being able to smile at my customers. Like I've seen masks that on them, they're like, trust me, I'm smiling underneath this or something. I'm like, you shouldn't have to trust me. You should just be able to see me smiling at you. And that's part of my business is I don't know, as someone who works in a restaurant, yeah, we provide food, yeah, we provide a service, but also part of what I do, and going back to that kind of optimistic, hopeful angle, is I try to just leave little nuggets of positivity with people, And I can't do that as well with a mask on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's just there's simple things that like you can't do with the mask on. I've read How to Win Friends and Influence People, and I love that book. And one of the first things it tells you is when you're trying to meet someone and make a friend, smile at them, ask their name,
and look them in the eye. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, the eye thing's super easy. You really only have one place to look on someone right now is their eyes.
It's kind of creepy, too, sometimes. Because all you have is eyes. You're, like, looking directly into their fucking soul.
Yeah, you get people that are, like, really glaring at you like, I need to see your eyes.
Well, dude, so last night, there's these really hot chicks that came in. And the eye contact was kind of, like, I was looking at them, but I'm just like, God, you are gorgeous. And I'm just like, God, I'm staring directly in your eyes. I got nowhere else to look.
For real. Yeah. Dude, there was this girl that came into work, and I literally like stuttered while I was taking this girl's order because her eyes were so gorgeous. And I was like, I literally at the end of taking her order, I was like, I just want to tell you that you are the only person that made me stutter, and I see eyes all day. Your eyes are gorgeous. And then she pulled her mask down. Like, oh my God, her face.
Ooh, she showed you the whole package.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was cool, but it's like the whole mask thing.
That was smooth though. That was smooth though, Mike Pappy. That was smooth.
Well, she ended up sitting down with her boyfriend, so whatever.
That's still smooth. Hey. The good shot's a good shot, whether it missed or not.
Oh, yeah. But dude, it's just so wild. Like, thinking about the mask, like, like in the Saudi culture where they have
the hijabs and
I totally see how they like those things, man. You don't have to see the whole woman's face.
No.
You only see the rest is left to imagination. So even if you are ugly, you can still get guys.
All right. I don't think I mentioned this once on a podcast, and call me racist, call me sexist, whatever the fuck you want. But I don't understand black women, man. They wear some of the most hideous outfits on some of the most hideous aesthetics of a human body I've ever seen. You look girls with no butt, big old freaking tummy hanging out, and they got all shrink wrapped to their body. That is the exact opposite of the hijab. From what I've heard, these Middle Eastern women wearing the hijabs are gorgeous underneath. And the Middle Eastern men are just like, no, I got shit to do today. I'm not looking at that. But on the other side of it, is it fair to me to say on the other side of the, and this is not black women, this is hood black women. Because I don't want to pick off. There's a certain sector, and I would hope that the black women who don't do this would stand up for me and say that this is an issue. But I see them, and I'm like, what are you doing, girl? What are you wearing? And I say it, I don't even say it from a negative angle. I see it from a constructive. I'm like, do it better. Do it better.
Yeah.
You're not leaving anything to the imagination, girl.
Oh, nothing to the imagination.
No.
And it is like, that's not just hood black women. That's some like trashy ass white women.
That's true. That's true. That's a good point.
I've seen Hispanics do the same thing.
But I totally get you
because it's way more prevalent, at least that I've seen, like in memes and stuff of like, you know, the hood mom that's got like her 3 kids with her tummy hanging out with like a tube top, and she's got these really stupid
no bra on, nipples just staring at you like headlights.
Yeah, like that's just a matter of like that's a matter of a couple things. Like if you want to look at their actual situation, maybe she doesn't have money to get clothes. Maybe that
I get that.
Wear that type of thing, but like
you can
still find stuff that
I'm talking more about the form-fitting clothes, the shit that's like shrink wrapped. Like you can go. I shop at Marshalls, Nordstrom Rack, stuff like that. I'm balling on a budget too, but wear something a little more loose-fitting, you know.
It's just like not wanting to take care of yourself or having no self-respect of yourself or no good self-image of yourself.
Self-respect. That's really that's the best word there. I'm gonna digress off that point because I feel like if we linger on this any longer, I will be dubbed a racist and sexist or whatever the fuck misogynist piece of shit that I am. But
I mean, we can make the argument on both ways that like that shit works for guys too. Like there's guys that don't take themselves the same way. They may not wear formal clothes, but they're never gonna. They're not gonna. That's a good point, Mike, because I think there is a double standard. I don't think there's as much to be left to the imagination on the male body. You know, there's just more aspects to the female form, tits, ass, blah blah blah, everything that you almost. That's why I think you have the hijabs in the Middle Eastern culture. You know, because they understand that they just see it as a biological reality, and they're like, chill. Right. So, I don't know. It's crazy. I love, dude. Joe Rogan made a comment, and I don't know if I think this was in his stand-up, and it's funny because he's like, guys are only programmed to do a few things. Like, even if you took a guy that was in a cage forever, like, never met a female in his life, he'd be like just chilling there. You put him in a glass window, and you put a naked girl on the other side. All he's gonna think is, "Fuck, I want to fuck." Oh, I need that girl.
He's going to sit there. He's going to be like a monkey in the zoo going, like trying to shake the cage. Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't know why. But he wants it.
Right. And he doesn't need to know why. Like that's just like a natural thing. Just how our brains are created. So like
keeps the species alive, my dude.
Oh, absolutely. It's exactly.
It's part of our hard coding.
Yeah. Like that's a very natural thing. So it's hard to fight modern like ideas and what should be right. Like this whole like rape culture thing, how people are like, girls will say like, oh, you can wear what I want, guys shouldn't rape girls.
No, I agree. Yeah.
However, at the same time, like maybe protect yourself a little bit. I don't want to be that guy that's like, you know, you shouldn't express yourself or whatever, because that's not me. You should be able to do what you want. Guys should control their actions. However, we have a programming in us that wants, when we see a good-looking girl, we're like, oh, wow, I want that. I really want to be.
This goes into feminism and sexual liberation, and actually this might be a better topic for another show, because like I said, we're at we're at an hour 10. I don't know how long you wanted to go. It sounds like you got no fatigue. But my thing is this. All right. Well, I just wonder who's actually going to watch an hour into this. You know, most people probably get about 10 minutes in. They'll watch like a nugget. So no one might ever watch this is my bigger concern. But let's fucking go. If you're ready, let's go in. Sexual liberation. I've said this many times in private. I think I've said it a few times on the podcast. I think it's one of the worst things that happen to women. I definitely understand this like freedom of unshackling yourself from the patriarchy. But if you read feminist literature, a lot of the first wave, second wave, they're like, okay, we did it. The third one is like this almost third wave feminism is like supplanting men and being like, well, we can do more than you can. It's like we can liberate ourselves sexually. We're capable of doing more than the men. But the irony there is that, well, for one, it's creating lesbians, which actually I don't really have much of a problem with lesbians in general. But the reason I bring up lesbians is women who are hoeing out, right? That's part of their culture. Sexual liberation. I'm going to free my body to all the men I want. The irony of it is you're feeding into what men want. So like they're trying to free themselves, but the irony is like part of what makes human sexuality what it is the man is always the aggressing force. It's the yin and the yang of nature. Is we have the dick. We're the one getting satisfied every time. You know, it's like this reality of the situation. So you're like, yeah, I got it. It's like, yeah, we got it too. So it's this weird, like, I'm proud of myself, but also it's demeaning. And this is where I'm actually going to invoke my older brother card. And this is what I warn my sister of all the time. I'm like, yeah, own your curves, own who you are, own yourself as a woman, but understand that it's give-take. And I think that's the thing that gets lost in translation with the sexual liberation thing is like the whole sexuality of humanity, it's an exchange, it's a connection. And when you look at it, it's just like this one-sided thing, which was what third wave feminism does, is it completely takes the connection angle out of it. It's all about me. What do you think of that? I said a lot.
Well, yeah. So there's, it's like, hey, I want to be able to do what I want, right? But on my terms. It's very about like the individual. At least it sounds like when I'm hearing it from feminists and people that are like that. They're more concerned about them just being able to do whatever they want when they want and not have anyone control them, which is cool. Like, go for it. I don't do what you want, but like, you got to realize that there can be consequences to your actions. Like, there are.
Now, you said can be. There are always consequences to your actions, whether you see them or not.
Right. So
or whether you choose to acknowledge them or not. Yes. Right. Well, there's positive ones too. There's positive ones.
Right. Absolutely. Say, if you're a good-looking girl and you flaunt your body, yeah, you can get a ton of, Instagram followers.
You'll even make money off it potentially too. But is that blood money or is that properly earned money, or are you just literally prostituting your body?
Right.
Is anyone going to respect you for your mind or heart, or just your tits and ass?
Right.
And then all your relationships that you have in life are predicated on one thing. And then they get to the pinnacle of this mountain. And the thing is, I'm a nobody. I watched way too many YouTube videos. But this observation I make is that they get to this pinnacle, and then they get to the top of the mountain. They get all the adoration, they get all the money, they get all the trips and everything they want. And then they realize that every relationship they have in their lives is predicated on their body, which will fade, for one. And two, they never took the time to nurture their mind, body, heart, soul, whatever connections, whatever your fucking chakras. They're not in line. And as much as everything they think they wanted they got, yeah, you can backtrack and you can eventually fix it, but the problem is sometimes too many women are far gone. I think, this is my prophetic vision, is I think we're going to see a population of very disheartened, formerly attractive women in the future, in the next few decades. And I'm not even sure, I'm not sure what their lives are going to look like, but you're going to have these former beautiful women sitting on a ton of money, but no dude wants to touch them, no business wants to touch them because there's these self-righteous assholes. It's like, I don't even know, where do you place them in society? Yeah. First off, do you think that vision I portray is fair?
To some degree, yeah. You're gonna get some girls that have made all this money and but they were beautiful on the outside, but they were ugly on the inside because they didn't actually care about what's important.
Right.
Like you said, nurturing your mind and soul and that type of stuff. That's important. You need to be able to take care of all those things.
And there's some that do. I don't want to say that every woman who flaunts their body doesn't. There's plenty that do. But it's the ones that don't at all. They completely, the Cardi B type. How about that? That woman is she has completely prostituted her body out.
Oh, for sure. She's an anomaly in general. Like,
Right.
this is kind of one of those like
She's
special
she's
cases.
she's a hyperbolic case study of what not to do. But here's the problem: is there's a lot of women that venerate her. They're like, I want that. I want that level of fame. I want to be that hot. I want to be that. There's a lot of women out there that want to be lusted over that heavily.
Yeah. Well, and some people, admire her for her attitude and like her mindset. Like she,
And the funny thing is, I can get behind that. I can get behind that too, actually.
Yeah, her mindset is fantastic. Like she knows who she is.
Yes.
There is no
I support
doubt
that.
in her mind. Like, and that's the best thing about Cardi B. She's
100%.
super positive. She's like, maybe not necessarily positive, but she's positive about her self-image. Like she knows who she is.
Yes.
She's to the point, like, you know what? I got a wet ass pussy. Yeah, I know you want it. Like, come get it, type shit. Like,
oh, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with WAP. I mean, okay. Here's the thing. I have a problem with how maybe my family. I'm the oldest of my family. How do I explain that to my younger cousins? Now, I'm gonna move. I'm just gonna ask that question rhetorically and move on. That being said, from a human angle. From the I'm on my own whatever bullshit, I respect wet ass pussy. She is speaking her truth for better or worse. That is what she does. That is what she's done. Do I want that for my family? Hell fucking no. But like you said, man, she owned her lane. She owns the fuck out of her lane. And here's the thing: I don't think Cardi B's going anywhere for a while. I know there's a bunch of hoes trying to steal that crown, but like you said, there's no one's got the personality, the grit, whatever those. I mean, she interviewed Joe Biden, which was a horrible interview, but like you said, she got it. She got that bag.
I had no idea she did that.
Yeah, dude, it was awful. I watched it. It was freaking hilarious. I watched it, dude. I'm hilarious because like I watch the stuff I like, I watch the stuff I don't like. I watch everything just because I told you I'm moth to the flame, man. And when I heard Joe Biden was getting interviewed by Cardi B. Like, as much as I want to be like, nah, I should go work out, nah, I should do this, I'm like, no, I'm watching this.
Dude, for real. Oh, that's so funny. All right, dude, super random,
Drop
off topic. But, dude, my mom, okay, so for my birthday, my mom got me this thing, and it is called, it's like a scavenger hunt, but it's called, I'm going to look it up real quick. It's like the candy store, or it's the Candyman's, like, golden ticket. Is what it is. Okay. It's real life.
Like based off the game, like, but it's like modeled after the game Candyland, like the board game, or?
No. This is more like Willy Wonka golden ticket.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna try to pull up the name of it real quick. And I was like, oh yeah, shoot, I forgot. I put the wrong thing in. All right. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Cool. It is super awesome. They're like it's $50 for a ticket, I guess, because I could see like how my mom spent, which is cool. Whatever. It's called the Gold Ticket by the Candyman.
Okay.
So, it is a scavenger hunt in every state, and you're looking for a golden dog tag necklace. Okay. And if you find, you get like $5,000. And then I think with all of those people that find them out of each state, they all get either their own key to a store, or there's only going to be one out of the 50 winners from each state.
Is this like a time-sensitive thing that just started, or?
Yeah. It hasn't even started yet. If you go to the gold.com, it's super cool, dude. Check it out. So you can win.
Yeah. Any of these links, send it to me in the chat on Discord, and I'll post it in the video when it gets uploaded.
Oh, dude, I will have to do that.
Yeah. Just.
I don't know how to send things on this thing yet, but I'll figure it out.
Just where I DM'd you earlier, just send the link there, and then I'll. So, but that's interesting as hell, man. So is it like geocaching? Is it like all?
Yeah, you get clues through like your social media and all that stuff.
Interesting.
Like you'll get clues through social media. You'll get clues through like your email. Just straight to your phone. Like whenever it starts, everyone's gonna know about it, and you just go in and start. And I'm like considering trying to recruit some help, but then I'm also like, I don't want to split that money.
I was about to say, yeah, you'll dilute the pot.
But I'm I'd be super cool with having like a friend come out and help find this thing. I've got a couple friends out here that would totally be down and maybe even buy their own tickets, and then we'll have to fight over it at the end.
That's interesting.
But I'm considering recruiting help. I'm considering doing it on my own. I'm not sure yet, but if I find that 5,000, we'll.
You just made an announcement about it, so that's it. Maybe people start knocking on your door.
Maybe, who knows?
That's interesting. And you said you get a key to a store. What are the stores, like storefronts they've set up or something, or like?
So you get your own candy store. Like I think they just like give you a candy store. I don't know.
Who's they? Is it a particular brand? Is it like Wonka or something, or like?
Yeah, whoever made like the Jelly Belly jelly beans.
Oh.
It's that dude.
Oh.
That dude's doing.
So is it jelly beans? I hate jelly beans.
That's where Jelly Belly got their start, was the jelly beans, but I don't know what else they ate.
I'd have to look it up. It's probably more than just jelly bellies, but yeah, I don't know.
I personally can't see like a candy store being that profitable right now. I feel like stores in general are just like dying.
Well, especially candy with all the health bullshit going on. I think that trying to get in the candy game like at this point is rough. Like, it actually, I gotta say, if you like own a successful candy franchise, you're pretty much like cemented, because it's like you're more of a legacy at this point. You know, like Mally's. Like I just had a conversation with someone the other day. Like Mally's ain't even that great, but they're fine. They're not going anywhere. You know.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah, Mally's chocolate. There are such better chocolate companies out there,
but it's a local Cleveland business that is established, and they're not going anywhere.
And they partnered with like all the schools at this point, so they're set.
Their business model is ironclad. Well, not ironclad, but you get the picture.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, being able to create a partnership in any company like that, where you have like guaranteed money coming in, is just so. It's such a nice boost. Like those are so crucial to any sustainable business.
Well, like even if you look at like what we're recording right now, this interview podcast bullshit I do, like my goal for this eventually is for someone to see this and be like, oh shit, I like what you're doing, I want to partner with you. And then like Rogan did with Spotify, great example actually, is Rogan created his whole thing on his own, he made money off it through other ways and bullshit, but eventually you want to get to the point where, like you said, you get that guaranteed money. You want to get that salary. You want to get that whatever, whether it's a partnership with schools or anything. That's the goal of any business, is you want to do something on your own long enough where you can get someone else to be like, hey, I think you can replicate this. I'm going to make sure you can do it more.
Right.
And I think that having a clear vision of what that looks like is the most important thing for any business.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. So, anyway, yeah, that's just wild. I just wanted to plug that because I'm super excited.
Well, so how long ago? It was just for your birthday that you got this buy-in, or?
I just got the ticket today.
Oh, okay. You just got it today. Oh, that's exciting. So you don't really know that much about it yet. I'm asking all these questions, but.
Everything I told you was everything that I know.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I assumed, I don't know, for some reason I assumed that you knew more about it. But
yeah, I just found out. It seems super cool. I'm like super interested. I'm into any type of like worldwide scavenger hunt or statewide scavenger hunt, geocache, and that type of stuff. So to be able to do like a $5,000 hunt, that's super.
Do you do the Pokemon Go at all anymore? Or?
No, I've died off from that.
I died off from that like 3 weeks after it started.
Yeah, I lasted like maybe a month and a half, 2 months, and then I was like, all right, I've spent way too much time on this thing.
Dude, it kills me. Like, as a server, I see people like while I'm taking their order, they're like trying to catch Pokemon in the restaurant. I'm like, really?
No.
Like,
that's not real. No Pokemon in here. Get out of here. That's some other trainer.
Well, my big thing is, I'm sure they've updated the app or anything, but like as soon as I realized it was just for the sake of like measuring dicks with your friends, I was like, okay, I'd rather like kill these Pokemon, like send them to fight. Like if we can't send them to fight, like what's the point? Well,
now they have a lot more features and updates where like it's way more involved in battle people. It's way more what we wanted it to be right off the rip.
But that's where me as a customer, I'm like, you should have had that day one, because
Right.
I'm not buying in now. And the thing is, I want to say this once because we mentioned Pokemon Go. Is the people who do Pokemon Go, they're not my people.
I have a really good friend that got into it because of his new girlfriend, and I love both of them. They're awesome people. However, I don't. I'm like I feel like whenever I hit him up, he's like, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't answer the phone call because I was catching Pokemon." I'm like, "Bro, dude, it's just a Pokemon. There's more of them. Don't worry."
No, dude, it was a Snorlax and he was shiny.
Hey, a shiny Snorlax, I understand, but if it's the
I know.
same Weedle that you caught 10 times or 100 million times now, let it go. There's going to be another one.
Dude, you know what? That's something that you and I both have, and I describe this as myself, but I think you also embody this. Is like we're like nerd adjacent. Like I can talk about shit like as if people are like, oh, he knows his shit, but I'm like, no, I don't buy in though. I don't buy in. Like I'm not completely sold. You know. Like it's funny. I was talking to one of my coworkers last night, and she brought up Harry Potter. And the house is no. I made a joke because she did something wrong. I'm like, oh, -5 points to Gryffindor. She's like, well, I'm a Hufflepuff. I'm like, oh no, you strike me as a Ravenclaw. And she's like, oh, what do you mean? And she like thought I was like, no. That's the extent of my Harry Potter. Like, I'm not a fan of. I just know enough to talk bullshit, you know. But it's weird. Like, if you show any knowledge, what would you say?
If you had to be any house, I'd say you were a Ravenclaw, bro.
Oh, I know. I've been told this by many Harry Potter fans. I always wanted to be more of a Slytherin, to be honest with you. I like their game.
Dude, their game is pretty awesome. However, it's just too much of an evil connotation. Though they are very cunning. They are very smart, like conniving people, which is
well,
I
like the idea of people thinking I'm evil and proving them wrong.